Welcome back, I'm JJ Barnes and you're watching another episode of Creative Writing Advice. Today I'm going to be talking to you about natural dialogue, because I think it's really important that when somebody is reading or watching your story, the way the characters communicate with each other feels real. Your characters are why they come, they're who they want to connect to, they're why they care about your story. And if your characters don't speak in a way that sounds natural and human, then they won't read or feel human, and they won't feel real. You want your audience to be reading your book or watching your film, and for the dialogue to just get absorbed into them. If they start stumbling over the words, and I'm sure you've done this because I have a lot of times, reading a book, and they start saying something to each other, and I've not realised that I'm actually saying those words aloud in my head, because if it just blends in, you just do it automatically. But if those words are really stumbly and hard to communicate, hard to get out, your brain stalls you. And then I have to stop and try and figure out exactly what is being said, and read the words again and try and get my mouth around them so I can understand what's actually being communicated. And as soon as you're doing that, as soon as you're either trying to figure out what a character has just said on screen because it sounds so awkward, or you're reading something again and again and again because you're trying to work out what the message that's actually trying to be put across is, you're not in that story anymore. You are outside it. You are trying to fight your way back into it, which you hopefully want to do because stories are great. But the words are so awkward, you can't do it. So making your words, your language, as natural and easy to say as possible is really important. Now, this does not mean you are actually mirroring natural dialogue. I have tried transcribing things that I have talked about. Believe me, it doesn't work, because we say and ah, and sometimes our sentences get a bit lost along the way, and we start off saying one thing and we end saying another. But because when you're listening, you kind of just go with them. Your thought train is part of it, and you're going and you're part of the conversation. But written down, it's meaningless, it's nonsense. You can't figure it out, and even if you can get most of it, so much of it is just garbled nonsense that you cannot write it like that. Your job as a writer is not to mirror natural speech, and if anyone tells you it is, they are wrong and they are lying, because natural speech is a mess. The natural way we talk is rubbish for story. What you're trying to do with your natural dialogue in story is trick people into thinking it's natural. Amy Sherman-Palladino, who wrote Gilmore Girls and The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, she writes characters speaking very, very, very fast. They communicate in a rapid, very interesting, very funny way. Nobody actually talks like that. If you sit down with a script from Gilmore Girls and you watch Lorelai and Rory having a conversation, you can read it out loud really well. You can say it quickly, you can say it slowly, and it still sounds right. But you'll look at it and the way the conversation moves, there's no weird pauses where people try and get their head around things. They don't change direction mid-sentence. Everything is smart and funny. The scenes are bookended, and by that I mean they might reference something at the beginning and then use it as a joke at the end. There could be a midpoint to an entire conversation. See, it mirrors the structure of a story. It's initiated at the inciting incident, the conversation point. The midpoint will change the reference of what they're talking about and transition it towards the climax, which could be a joke or a decision or an argument. And the sentences they have mirror story structure perfectly, and nobody communicates like that. And yet, on screen or written down, you can still read it or watch it completely naturally and be fine. It doesn't seem unnatural. If you think about musicals, completely unnatural. We do not burst into song randomly. Well, sometimes I do, much to the annoyance of my children, but not in the same way as a musical. And that is one of the reasons some people don't like musicals, because it's unnatural. But what they don't realise is that all stories are actually unnatural, because the way we construct sentences in fiction is unnatural. So one of the things you have to try and do when you've written a sentence down, say it out loud. Because just because written down as you do it, it seems to flow. It doesn't mean it does. It doesn't mean that when spoken out loud, it does. Read it out loud and say it quickly. And if you're starting to get stuck and your tongue is going too fast or you're jumbled, rewrite it. Now, for a lot of sentences your characters are saying, it might be just, oh yeah, okay, or let's go that way. Then you don't need to worry about it. But if it's a long monologue or an idea that is being given out to the world, try saying it out loud. Try and give characters their own unique speech patterns. Some characters are from the north and some are from the south, and they will speak differently. Some might come from more upper class backgrounds where they're educated in a very formal way. Others will be from more working class backgrounds where they aren't, and it will affect their speech patterns. Some characters will speak quickly, like Lorelei, and some will speak slowly. And some will make a lot of jokes with their speech, and some will be more serious and more literal. And if you make sure all your characters have these ways of speaking, it will feel more natural because we don't all speak the same. We do not all have the same speech patterns, we don't all have the same accents, we don't all have the same background, we aren't all from the same place. Even though my partner and I are from mostly around the same area from childhood, we speak very differently because my parents are different from different places to his parents, so that has infiltrated mine. And that means that our speech, despite being from the same area and having gone to the same school, we speak differently. So it will read and seem more natural on the screen or page if your characters do that too. And if you think about building a scene like a story structure, just like in Gilmore Girls, it will mean your story, the conversation will flow. And as long as it's flowing and it's easy to say, and it makes all the points that you want it to make, and it keeps the story moving forward and the conflict is all alive, your dialogue will feel natural. It will flow. Your audience will enjoy reading it. They will be conned into believing that that is actually how people speak. And that's the magic. Set out with your conversation point at the beginning. Why are you there? What are you talking to them about? Why is it relevant to the story? Why does this conversation have to happen? Midway through, perhaps a revelation. Perhaps something somebody has been hiding comes out and it changes what they're talking about. And then towards the climax of the conversation, where a decision is made, an argument might break out, a joke that is relevant to the beginning can be made, but something is ending that conversation. There's a reason that conversation is ending there. It will make your story feel like the dialogue is natural, easy to read, easy to listen to. And people will not get booted out as long as you can say it out loud and it moves your story forward in a natural way and no one is getting confused or jumbled and everybody sounds just a little bit different because they are all different people. Your dialogue will be natural. Might sound like a lot to take in, so I'm sorry, but it is once you get used to doing it, it's a process that is good. And it will improve your story, it will improve your audience's experience of it, as well as the actual quality of your story, which is always important. So thank you very much for watching another one of my videos. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to reach and help as many people as I can, and help everybody become better and more confident writers. If you can drop me a comment, tell me what you're working on, tell me your examples of really well written natural dialogue. Tell me some examples of terribly written dialogue, because I can come back and do more videos on it and we can talk about it and grow the idea of how to create the best dialogue we can. As I say, it's a really important part of your story. Please go to my website, which is jjbarnes.co.uk. Over there you'll find all my social media. You can come and talk to me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm always talking about writing and stories and things over there, so come find me and tell me what you're working on. Also, you can find links to my books, my film, my TV work, my blog that's over there, and everything else I've got going on and coming up. And yeah, I will be back again soon, and thank you very much for watching. Bye.